I have a lot of striped fabric. I gravitate towards stripes in an effort to not be overwhelmed by florals. You'd think those were the only two options in the land of patterned fabric based on how much I have of both. I keep telling myself, stop buying stripes. But today I have a reason to use the stripes, specifically. So I made this dress like a month ago now? What is time? And I didn't film it. I was just experimenting, having a little me time. It's not you, it's me. And y'all loved it. I mean, it turned out pretty cool, so like, not to toot my own horn, but I kinda expected that. And I promised that I would do a video exploring the pleating of stripes technique that I did here, so today I shall make good on that promise. Yay! I cannot guarantee that it will turn out as well the second time around as it did this first time, because y'all, sometimes I just get lucky, but we shall explore nonetheless. Yesterday, having finally accepted that it will probably be a very long time before I actually put shelves in my fabric closet and move the mound back in there, I decided to go ahead and organize, separate, categorize all of the fabric that is currently being stored in the guest bedroom. Hi! Mostly because I wanted to find every single piece of striped fabric that I own, and they were all over the place in the mountain. Stripes. And I can hear you asking, I definitely heard at least one person ask, why is the fabric all on the floor? Wasn't it piled gracefully on the bed before? Funny story, we had to sleep in here one night several weeks ago because we broke our bed. Hi. Hello. What a big boy. To be fair, we're pretty sure the movers broke the bed when they were moving it into the room, and we discovered that it was broken like many months ago. All like the middle support legs have just been scooted or snapped off somehow. And because we didn't know how to fix that at the time, our reaction was, let's just ignore that until it becomes a real problem. Stripes. And yeah, it became a problem one night when I plunked into bed after a long, exhausting day of sitting very still as usual, and one whole corner of it just collapsed onto the ground. It was midnight, Matt was still at work, I was not in the mood, so I marched right out of that bedroom, hurled the massive pile of fabric in the guest bedroom onto the floor, and we slept in there that night. I just realized that I stacked all of this fabric up against the edge of the comforter where the puppy dries himself off after a bath. Such a drama. So it's very covered in fur. Whoops! Wrap up to that story, this actually occurred very shortly after I had procured numerous power tools to do my studio here, so the next day we were able to fix the bed all on our own, thanks to the power of drills, jigsaws, and nail guns. Huzzah! A little bit early in the video to have a whole story time, but I do what I want. Let's have a quick demonstration of the technique that I used to make this dress, which by the way is not like a new technique or anything. I didn't discover it, but I don't know if it has a name. I just fiddled around and figured it out. Was this a shirt? I didn't cut this out. This came to me looking like this. Okay. 'Tis fairly simple. It's just a pleat. I think it would be called a pleat. We fold a stripe in half and sew down a section of it to make that stripe mysteriously disappear for a bit, and then wow, it's still there, above and below. Or when you have multiple different kinds of stripes, like on this fabric, you can choose which ones you want to make disappear. Let's make all three of them disappear. Which is, of course, a much more dramatic flare at the bottom and the top, where those come back. And then if you keep pleating those stripes one after another, you end up with this really cool effect where you're all one color in the center and then fan out to the multiple colors at the top and bottom. So on this fabric, because I had the 3 colors of stripes, I just decided first what color I wanted to highlight. I went with blue, and then I folded the other 2 stripes in half. Hold on. Here's an inside view. So you can see I folded each yellow and pink pleat and sewed it from here to here. And I came into this dress with no plans. I think I had about 1.5 yards or 2 yards of this fabric, so it wasn't enough in the end to go all the way around, which is why I added these pink panels on the side so I could actually make it a dress. But I basically just laid it out flat and then started sewing all of these pleats in. I measured from my shoulder to my underbust and then added a couple inches, and that's how far down on the fabric I started sewing. And then I measured from my underbust to my low waist, and that's how I knew how long to sew. And then once I had pleated the entire piece of fabric, that's when I realized it wasn't enough to make a dress. So I cut it in half down the center, and I just went with like the easiest option up top because I was not in the mood to figure anything out. Dolman sleeves and a boat neck. They really don't require figuring anything out. Very easy. If we were gonna plan out something in advance, there would definitely be a lot of math involved. You would need to know how deep each pleat is going to be and how many of them you're going to make so that you would know how much fabric you needed to start with. And then of course that pleat would be heavily based on what size the stripe of the fabric you're using is, but then also how many stripes are you pleating together? Are you folding 1 in half? Are you doing 2? Are you doing 3? Yeah, it would be a lot of calculating. So I'm just gonna wing it again, like I did the first time, because that's way more fun. I'd like to do both a knit like this one, which I think is much more forgiving, particularly for this experiment. But also I would like to try a woven fabric this time, which I think will require a little more pre-calculation, even while winging it. So within the stripey pile, there are some that are very definitely not the best options for this technique. Anything with really small or thin stripes, like yeah, theoretically, you could do that, but it sounds like misery. It would not be fun. Same with like, if it's a big stripe and then a tiny stripe. Can't exactly do anything with that. Bah. If it's too many different colors of stripes, like technically I could do something with this. I could pleat together all of that, so just the orange is showing, and that would look really cool, but it would require a lot of fabric because you're losing a big chunk of it to each pleat, and I don't have that much, so none of that. Wovens, knits, no. Okay, so we're left with like 8 options here, 4 knits and 4 wovens. So now I'm just gonna procrastinate for a minute while I try to decide which of these I actually want to use. But you don't need to see all that, so we'll cut ahead to me already having made up my mind. Okay, so after giving it some thought, as cool as the tiny stripes would be, I'm not really in that kind of a mood right now. Like that would be a lot of tiny little sewing. I'm gonna do that at some point, but not in this video. We're going with the big stripes. Because what I realized is that this fabric is very similar, minus the color, to this fabric. The 3 different stripes, they're a little wider here. So what I can basically do is create something very similar to this dress that y'all wanted to know about, but lacking pigment. They'll look so cool next to each other, and that's perfect because honestly, this is probably one of my favorite dresses I've ever made, if not my favorite. Like, it feels so good in so many different ways. It is so comfortable, and at the same time, I feel dramatic and like a pretty princess. Honestly, I might not get to the woven fabric attempt in this video. We might just be sticking with this. But that just leaves me with options in the future, because that purple fabric, the purple stripes that are like shiny stripes with sheer stripes in between, I have some pretty cool ideas of what you could do with that in this vein. I'm gonna need a different needle. Ooh, I just had a thought. This is the perfect opportunity. Oh, where'd you go? I almost lost that. Ah! I almost lost it again. This is the perfect opportunity to use out the knit presser foot that I tried in my very long Let's Review Presser Feet video. What are you? All right, we're doing it.
Wait, was that supposed to go underneath? I've already forgotten. Well, that doesn't seem right.
Don't make me go back and watch my own video to figure out how to use this. I think that is right. We're going with it. Anyway, in the spirit of winging it, just like I did with this one, I think I'm just gonna start from one end and sew in the pleats all the way across and then figure out what I'm doing with it. I do have more of this than I had of this, so I don't think I'll need to add any extra fabric to it, but if I do need to add any extra fabric, I have black knit. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I think I'm gonna start my pleats about 18 inches down from the top. Yeah, that should be fine. And then they really only need to be 5 inches long.
So 18 inches is right there.
And then 5 inches is right there. If your first seam isn't quite right and some of the band color is peeking through, you can just flip the pleat to the other side and sew it again to get rid of that. Super easy. One down, tons more to go. I'm gonna turn on some TV now. All right, so here is what we ended up with. Wabam. I did think it would be helpful to measure the fabric in case that measurement is helpful to anyone. This is about 3 1/4 yards of fabric, and I held it up around my body just kind of lightly with all of this done, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna go all the way around me without any side panels or any other fabric being added to it. So if that's helpful to anyone, grand. I still probably need to cut this in half. Why, you ask? Pockets. If I cut it in half and then sew those two halves together, rather than having one side seam or a seam in the back, I'll have 2 side seams and I can put pockets in those side seams. I also think I will keep the dolman sleeve shape just because it's really easy to do with this, and it's really comfy. I love dolman sleeves, but I do think I'm gonna do a different neckline. A lot of people on Instagram suggested or said that they would have preferred a V-neck on this. So yeah, we'll see if I can do that. It would also be really cool at some point to do a version of this where the pleats are on the outside. I don't know, you maybe sew them down like that so you get that really cool twist. Variations on a theme, y'all. Variations on a theme. It's very easy for me to get really fascinated by some random new technique and want to make a ton of different things using it in slightly different ways. Kind of like, split side garments. But luckily I also get bored pretty fast or just distracted by new ideas, so then I tend to move on. And I'm fairly certain I'm just describing hyperfocus right now or something like that. Y'all, there's terminology for everything, and like, if I'm not using that terminology, it's probably just because I literally don't know it. I haven't researched it. I just wander through life analyzing myself and sometimes coming up with my own terms for things, which can be confusing in the end. Oh well. I love this so much already. Look at us, we're twinsies. Yay! Also, I'm now observing that some of my pleats end at drastically different places than others, so I will go back and fix that once I've actually tried it on my body, which is great because you can easily do that. You can like fully finish this dress, put it on, make sure it's hanging on you correctly, and then go back and even out the bottom of all of your pleats or the top of them to make sure they're actually in the same place. If you want that, you could also do like every other one longer. Variations, y'all. Variations on a theme. I could sit down and make like 100 different dresses right now using this theme, but I don't have time for that. And next week, I'll have some new technique that I want to try. I stitched the fabric into a tube just at that waist section so that I could try it on and futz around, which gave me this fun outfit for a split second. It's pretty loose right now, which I like because then I can get it on over my head without any closures, but that means I'll want some sort of tying mechanism somewhere like the side ties on the cotton candy dress, so I can actually cinch it in and show off the whole pleating thing. You know, the focal point of the whole dress. I also don't want to cut the dress in half like perfectly evenly, because if it ties in the back, as I think it shall, the side seams will get pulled backwards too much. We're going for it. There are 28 black stripes in total, so I cut it with like 13 on the front, kinda. It may not be exactly that after the side seams and stuff, but like, the front is basically one stripe smaller than the back. Then I dug through my scrap bins for bits of black. These are from my mesh gauze gown, and cut those into pockets and little tie loops. Like pasta. Sewed those into the side seams, which I closed from like 4 inches above the waist all the way down. And then, I quit for the day. Yay! So here's where we've landed. From here down, 'tis done. I don't have any good black cord right now for lacing this up, so I just used one of the stripes that I cut off. But I already needed to go to Remainders tomorrow for unrelated reasons, so I'm gonna check there. I could like make something myself, but I would prefer to just, it's fine. I prefer to just buy some sort of black cord, elastic, trim, I don't know, something like that. So what remains is the top. What are we doing with all this fabric? So this is the middle of the front. So I think what I'm gonna do is just slit this down the middle to like, I don't know, here-ish. And then I might cut out just a little bit on the back, just a slight curve so that it sits more comfortably around the neckline instead of running into it. But then basically I'm just sewing these together at the shoulder seam so that they create this drapey dolman sleeve like this. Good angle. And I think what I'm going to do, because this is a pretty long dolman sleeve and that can start to get a little bit annoying. So I have all this extra fabric. I think I'm gonna fold it back over underneath on the inside to create 2 channels, and then I'll run cord up those channels as well so you can like ruche it or cinch it, gather the sleeves together and make them shorter if you want, or longer, or whatever length you want them. That's the plan anyway. Let's try it. Wish me luck. It'll be fine. All's good. We're gonna do it. Y'all, I wasn't trying that hard to match the stripes, but on this side, they pretty much matched all on their own. No effort on my part. This side, I have now pinned carefully and sewn twice, and it's wrong. Both times. Why? How? I was so careful. I don't understand. Third time better be the charm. Third time was indeed the charm, although I cannot claim the process was a charming one. Downside of stripes, y'all. With the shoulder seams finally done, I sliced down the front of the bodice for that V-neck and then was thankfully interrupted by the puppy gently hinting that he'd like to eat lunch. Oh, my love, come here. Come here. Oh, nice boy. Is it E.T. time? E.T. time! V-necks are tricky, and after thinking on it for a bit, I decided to go ahead and just bind this one, because that's kind of the only way I've made a decently successful V-neck in the past. Unfortunately, it did not go so well today. I was struggling with it, so I paused to hem the sleeves and fix a few of those pleats before trying it on and realizing that the neck hole was way too small anyway. We're starting over there. Starting over on the neckline. I cut it slightly bigger and then did a different form of bias binding, I guess. I used a stripe that I cut off the side seam and then sewed it around that whole neckline, flipping the entire thing inside and stitching it down again so it's not actually visible, but it is finishing the edge and giving structure. Way better. Then I just needed to add that sleeve ruching. I cut a strip from that scrap fabric and sewed it all the way down the inside of the shoulder and sleeve seam, flipping it and sewing it again so that it formed a tube. I added a seam down the center, so now it's 2 tubes side by side, and you can loop a quarter ribbon through that, pull it from the hem side, and ruche the shoulder seam. Oh, and the puppy found a really good stick. He's very proud of it. Okay, that is basically it. It's done-ish. No, it's done. I'm gonna go through the pleats one more time and just really clean them up. Because it's black, you can just see every little bit of gray that's coming through on one of those seams. So I'm just gonna go through and make sure it's perfect. And then tomorrow I'll pop by Remainders and get myself some black ribbon or cord or something like that to string in all of the little stringy spots, and that'll be it. So, final product. Y'all, I finished reading Ulysses. This is entirely unrelated, but I just felt like I needed to tell somebody because I have been trying to read this book for probably 10 years now. This was my 5th attempt to get through it, and I did it this time. And I could definitely talk about this book for like at least half an hour, if not more, which I will not do right now. But for a very, very broad review, it ain't worth the time. Anyway, I love this dress. Oh, I love both of them. I'm gonna be wearing these things all the time. Genuinely, y'all, these might be the best dresses that I have ever made because they're just so comfortable. But then I also feel like a frickin' princess in them. I don't know, like a lot of the gowns or dresses that I've made where I'm like, oh, I feel super dramatic and like royal or whatever, are a little harder to wear around the house, or like I wouldn't wear them around the house. They're just like, they're too much. They're too big, they're not super duper comfortable, whatever it is. But these simultaneously feel like comfy house dresses and like a regal gown that a Grecian princess would wear. And I love that I now have 2 in like completely opposite color schemes. Yay! The stripes on this one were definitely a little harder to like perfectly line up in the center, on top of it being black. So really you can see every bit of gray that I missed. Whereas on the pastel one, let me drag it over here. I mean, I don't think you can even see it on camera, which is why I didn't care that much about it. But like you can see some yellow right here. There's bits of pink on all of these over here. The tiniest bits, but because it's all pastel-y colors, it doesn't stand out that much. On top of that, these stripes have a much harder line to them. Like, it's a very clear line where each stripe is. And the line on this one, especially when you're sewing from the back, was not as obvious. So yeah, I spent a couple hours at the very end yesterday just fixing pleats to try to make them perfect, and then I kind of gave up. I got it pretty close though. There is so much that you can do with this concept though. You can make dresses, but you could also make like a shirt. You could make this a skirt that goes into something like this at the top, and then like that's the waistband and that's the end of it. You could make them go way longer and form them over the shape of your hips. You could do like a pattern instead of just like, here's the waistline. Ooh. They're not at all even on this dress. I did not care. But like, what if you sewed them into some sort of pattern on here, or you sewed them into like a V on the front? Also, depending on the kind of striped fabric you use, you could do like some pleats deeper, which I'd love to try on a woven material. I do still really want to try a woven material. I'll do it sometime in the future, but this was plenty for one video. I'd love to do one that has all of the pleats, but then like maybe on the 4 corners or the 4 diagonals of the body, I guess. They have like a way deeper one, so then the skirt has even more volume. Like I said, y'all, there are just so many variations on a theme that you could do with this. I'm not gonna let myself get obsessed with it right now. I have other things that I want to make in the next few weeks, but I will definitely be revisiting this concept because it's just fascinating and yet so simple. I mean, the thinner stripes would also be so cool. I would just need to come to that project prepared because sewing every single one of them would definitely be like a whole thing. Speaking of stripes though, I can't get just one thing when I go to Remainders, of course not, so guess who just got some more striped fabric? It's me! I couldn't resist it. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, not just the colors, but also like the texture of the stripes. I'm fascinated. And y'all, the lovely human at the register at Remainders recognized me, which has quite literally never happened to me before. Shout out to her, and also sorry if I immediately made it awkward. I feel like I did. Maybe I didn't, but my brain panicked a little, but it was still really cool, so. Anyway. Seriously, y'all, I feel so comfy in this dress that I feel prepared to like do stuff. It is the true mark of a good outfit when I put it on and I'm like, yeah, I can sit exactly how I like to sit, which is not at all normal ways to sit. And now I want to go embroider, or hey, maybe start a new book, one that I'll actually enjoy reading. There's a thought. Oh, my nose. Oh, my pins. Calm down. It's fine. This is starting to hurt my hand. Ouchies. Ruche the shoulder seam into a shoulder seam is what I wrote. What? What?
What you doing?
Separating.
Ooh.
Stiff. I cut a strip from the scrap pap. Oh, you're not focused on my face. That's a problem. We're gonna do the thing where I try to steal the focus by sticking my face in it and then dragging it over. It worked. Good times, y'all.